Making sure that products are safely transported across the globe is a major concern for importers and exporters. Let's take a look at how one South Florida company is shedding new light on an efficient means of freight transport.
My name is Yaakov Gazelgel. I'm the founder and CEO of Zariz Transport. I founded Zariz Transport in 2018 with the ultimate goal of becoming a national brand, a transportation company that specializes in hauling of containers that can service our customers at all ports around the country. We service enterprise-level companies that are importing cargo everywhere. They currently use non-asset logistics companies that have the reach in those markets, but they don't have the trucks. What we wanted to do is consolidate those two, be that provider everywhere with the assets. We have the drivers, we have the equipment, we have everything it needs to accomplish that goal.
Let's start with the basics of what intermodal drayage really is.
Intermodal is when more than one mode of transportation is used to move freight from point A to point B. For example, intermodal drayage is when both a ship and a truck is used to move freight. There are several different types of containers that are utilized to move different types of freight. Some of those are refrigerated containers for frozen or temperature-controlled products. There are flat racks, which are utilized for oversized or over-dimensional freight, as well as hanger containers, which are utilized for garments. Depending on the commodity inside of a container, special licensing or permitting may be required either for the driver or the company that is transporting the container. Some examples of this are hazardous materials, overweight commodities, or customs bonded freight. Customs bonded freight is when a container or the merchandise inside of a container is imported without the taxes being paid to the U.S. government. So our bond guarantees to the U.S. government that if that tax does not get paid by the importer, our bond will cover those taxes. Another example with overweight permits is the FMCSA requires that a gross vehicle weight of a truck may not exceed 80,000 pounds. So if the total weight of the freight inside the container brings the truck past that, an overweight permit would be required. In the case of hazardous materials, both training for the driver as well as safety protocols set up by the company are required in order to ensure the safety of the general public.
With technology constantly pushing us forward into the future, finding more effective and efficient ways to optimize the shipping process is one of the main goals at Zariz.
During the entire process, from when the container is loaded overseas to when it arrives at the customer's facility, our teams are following the container and making sure that it is always on schedule. And if something changes in the schedule, we are aware of it immediately so that we can notify our customers and they can modify their schedules accordingly. While most businesses, including the freight transportation industry, are focused on innovation and technology, the intermodal drayage industry hasn't been as much. Here at Zariz, our main focus is development of new technology and software to simplify the logistics process for our customers and save them time as well as our teams here on a lot of those labor-intensive and repetitive processes that can be automated and have been automated for other industries. Our key goal is to simplify the process for our customers so that they can spend their time somewhere that's more beneficial to them and have the peace of mind that our technology and our people have their freight in good hands.
What are some of the biggest concerns that importers think about when selecting a transportation provider?
So year over year, there has been a major increase in volumes coming into the country. As a result of that, customers are having a harder time getting space on the vessels overseas, securing the truck capacity, and as well as actually the warehouse space that's available to store their cargo. As a trucking company, the customers need to know that we can handle their shipments. So they need to know that We have the equipment, we have everything lined up. We can deliver it within the time frame that they need. At the ports, there is demurrages, which is a fee that the terminal charges if you don't pick up the cargo on time. There's major penalties that are involved there, so if customers don't get a carrier that can get it out on time, they're hit with major losses on their cargo. We need to ensure that that doesn't happen. That's a major responsibility on us. That's the service that we need to provide to our customers to make sure that their cargo is flowing. As far as deliveries to their facilities as well, we need to be proactive with the scheduling, reaching out. It's not always a customer's facility. Many times it's actually a third party. Even though the customer needs the cargo, the facility may not be able to take it. They're relying on us to coordinate all of that.
Understanding the logistics and supply chain strategy of freight shipping can be tedious. Let's take a closer look and find out what it's like to work inside the industry.
The day-to-day operations in our company require a lot of coordination from many different areas. It's extremely important that everybody throughout the company, different divisions, different departments, work together to ensure that we each have what we need to fulfill the end result of getting our customer their shipments on time. Our dispatch and operations team are constantly evaluating capacity to ensure that we can keep up with customers' demands. They work very closely with our recruiting team responsible for ensuring that we have enough drivers starting on a weekly basis as our volumes continue to grow. They work very closely with our fleet management team as well that are responsible to ensure that we have all the equipment to get these drivers onto the road immediately.
Of course, to make any of the transport possible, you need skilled, licensed drivers.
Well, the first step to become a licensed freight driver, you have to obtain your CDL permit. You have to go to motor vehicles and take the written test. Then you have to enroll yourself into a driving school. The driving school teach you and prepare you to get your CDL. They show you and teach you how to back the tractor trailer up. They break down everything that you need to know in the component of the tractor trailer, the gauges, what they indicate, what they stands for. And then after that, they prepare you to go out for a road test at motor vehicles. The instructor is the man that's going to take you out on your road test. Once you go out on the road for your road test, he'll let you know if you pass or if you fail. And if you pass the road test, they give you a piece of paper to have you reschedule your road test again. If you pass the road test, then you go inside with the piece of paper they give you to motor vehicles, and motor vehicles will give you your CDL license. Working with the Intermodal Shipping Company is no different than working with any other trucking company. Only difference is that Zariz Transport, we go inside different ports. We pick up containers that comes from overseas. Once we deliver the containers to the warehouse, they distribute it to vendors, which it could be a food store, clothing store, toys, medication. Being on the road is very difficult and it has very long hours. Through climate, weather, sometimes, as far as snow, it rains, high winds. So you have to take safety precautions. Sometimes it deals with traffic delays that could be backed up miles and miles away. Accidents, construction. Sometimes they cut off the road that you have to take alternate roads to get back onto the highway. So that could cause a lot of your traffic delays and a lot of hours being out there on the road. But through all of that and through the whole day of me being out there on the road, my main goal was that we delivered the containers or the freight to the customer. The customer was satisfied, that I could make it home safe to my family, and that I know that I made somebody's day very happy. And most of all, Zariz Transportation is satisfied with my work and my efforts at the end of the day.
Dispatchers keep the drivers in motion and are a key factor in the success of the operation.
As a dispatcher for Zariz Transport, we're responsible for about a 600-mile radius covering between Baltimore, Maryland, all the way up to Syracuse, New York, and everything in between. So every day, one container could end up being touched 3 to 4 times. And you multiply that by hundreds, and that's basically the type of volume that we deal with as dispatchers on a typical day. Anywhere from the terminal to the delivery location, and then also back to the terminal to be terminated to then deal with the chassis. And then, so 3, 4, 5 touches all from one container in one day times hundreds. And that's the volume that dispatchers, especially me, deal with on a daily basis. As a dispatcher, other than just routing drivers, we also have the responsibility of taking care of the equipment, where it is, where it's going, who has it, the chassis, the containers, and everything in between. We're also kind of a liaison for our drivers between our customer service department, which is in turn for our customers, and then our safety and our fleet managers as well.
And let's not forget that customer service plays a vital role in shipping and logistics. How do the customer service reps deal with their day-to-day processes?
Our dispatch team always communicate with us when it comes to a steam ship line not provided return locations. We also communicate to the customers so they are aware of this issue. When it comes to the time the terminal doesn't provide appointments to return containers to their terminals, we also communicate with them. It's a possibility they open new slots or new appointments so we can also return these containers. Our customers are always aware of this issue, and then we try our max to communicate with the terminals and the steam ship line to solve it. Other challenges that we go through our daily basis is port congestion. Dispatch team always communicates to us when it comes to congestion at the port due to max of drivers and containers that have to be picked up during the day. We communicate with the terminal in case there's any way that we can make this process faster. Sometimes they're able to help us, but sometimes they just have a matter of wait at the terminal just so the mass of containers that have to be picked up on that day. As a customer service team, we always try to provide accurate information to our customer. We are constantly in communication with our dispatch team and other teams to help us to provide this information to our customer. We have different ways to track their shipments. So in that way, we have constantly updates of what's going on with the deliveries or the pickups that we do at the ports. If there's any issue with the shipments when it comes to pickup at the port or any delay with the deliveries, we also have updates that we can forward to them so they can have the information accurate and constantly during the day.
Describe what Zariz Transport is doing to ensure the safety of their drivers.
I'm currently the Director of Compliance, Safety, and Fleet Maintenance for Zariz Transport. I handle all the federal compliance, all the safety for the drivers and all employees, and also handle all the equipment moves on a daily basis. Zariz as a carrier understands the importance of the federal regulations because we understand how important drivers are, and drivers are very important to us. But Zariz Transport, we respect the federal regulations because the drivers have an inherently dangerous job with large equipment, especially being out there on the road with the general public. So at Zariz, we take that very seriously. Quality of life at Zariz is important. Most of our executive team started as drivers, so we know what it feels like to be in the driver's seat. We take a lot of pride in understanding what a driver's daily life is, and we aim for the drivers to have quality home time. The drivers have paid time off and paid holidays as well. At Zariz, we take a lot of pride in our training programs, from onboarding to train the trainer, and also for pre and post trip inspections is vitally important as well. We see a lot of value in it, and we like to set our drivers up for a successful day. Initially, our drivers get educated with specified trainings, including hours of service, hazmat handling, and pre and post trip inspections. It's important on a daily basis for drivers to understand that they're supported, and we like to give resources to do that, of course, mostly with technology and just being available 24/7 whenever they need us.
There are lots of factors to consider with any type of freight shipping. How are the shipping rates determined? Could there be additional fees involved? Let's ask the pros.
Being that intermodal drayage companies heavily rely on rented equipment to move containers once they arrive at the ports, it's very important to ensure that when hiring a drayage company, they have their own equipment. Now, that can be the chassis, which is utilized to place the container on and move it from point A to point B. In the case of a refrigerated container, it can be the generator that powers the refrigerated container while in transit. Another big thing to focus on when looking for a drayage company is what kind of operation do they have when it comes to their drivers? Are they asset-based, where they own their own equipment? Do they have owner-operators? These are key things that play into what kind of commitment you're going to be able to get from a transportation company. The cost of ocean freight is directly affected by supply and demand. Intermodal drayage isn't affected as much by supply and demand as much as it is by capacity. The pricing structure for an intermodal drayage move or shipment is based off of a line haul price, and then there are accessorial charges. An example of an accessorial would be chassis. Chassis are considered an accessorial since we have a set daily rate, but we don't know how many days we will bill for. Another example is yard storage, which again will also be billed at a daily rate. Another example of an accessorial would be a hazmat charge or an overweight charge, which is strictly reliant on if the commodity meets a specific criteria.
What time of year is normally the peak shipping season, and how can customers prepare for it?
In shipping in general, it's a very busy business. There's always very, very high volume. When peak season does come around, such as holidays, you've got an increase on top of the regular volumes of alcohol and food. When you got back to school season, you've got school supplies. These are additions to what customers already have coming in for regular day-to-day commodities that they move. So it definitely adds a lot. Especially during peak seasons, the customers need to really plan extra and be super proactive with making arrangements for both the overseas portion or the inland rails, as well as the trucking portion as well, to make sure that we can keep up with the increased volume. For companies that are new to importing or shipping domestically, they're often not considering the transportation piece because they specialize in creating their product, selling their product. What you need to do is be extremely proactive because the transportation part is getting it to the shelf, getting it to the end consumer. So pre-plan, make sure that you're reaching out to a transportation company. They need to secure the capacity to ensure that they can accomplish that end result of getting the cargo out there.
Over the past few years, we've seen an increase in intermodal transport. Why do you think that is?
When a customer's shipping a product across country, it's definitely a lot cheaper to ship via rail, which is intermodal. It's cost effective. It may take a bit more time. It's extremely important for the customer to plan for that, but from a cost perspective, there's a lot of savings long-term for customers.
So if your business is in need of an efficient way to manage your shipping and supply chain needs, let Zariz Transport be your one-stop solution.
When you start to plan your product, it's extremely important to at that point already start thinking about the transportation. Go out, find an asset-based trucking company that can service you in all the markets that you're going to be selling your product in. It's extremely important for them to be able to get it there timely for you. So be mindful of who you select and their ability to deliver for you within the time frame that you're going to need to get the product to the end consumer.
For more information about Zariz Transport, visit their website at zariztransport.com. And of course, visit our website at InsideTheBlueprint.com.